Welcome to our exploration of LGBTQ+ issues in Buddhism, based on the original teachings of the Buddha as preserved in the Pali Canon. Today, we'll dive into what the Buddha actually said about gender, sexuality, and identity, without relying on later commentaries or interpretations. Let's start with a fundamental principle of Buddhism, the idea that all beings deserve compassion and the opportunity to find liberation from suffering. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha says, "As a mother would risk her life to protect her child, her only child, even so should one cultivate a limitless heart with regard to all beings." This teaching of universal loving-kindness makes no distinctions based on gender or sexuality. The Buddha's path to awakening is open to all. Now you might be wondering, did the Buddha specifically address LGBTQ+ identities? The short answer is no, at least not in the terms we use today. However, the Vinaya Pitaka, which contains the rules for monks and nuns, does mention some relevant concepts. For instance, there's discussion of ubhato bhyanjanaka, persons with characteristics of both sexes, which may refer to intersex individuals. The Vinaya also mentions pandakas, a term that's hard to translate precisely, but may have included some gender non-conforming people. Interestingly, in the Vinaya, we find the Buddha allowing monks who developed female characteristics and nuns who developed male characteristics to simply switch to the appropriate order. This suggests a rather matter-of-fact approach to gender transition. The Buddha's teachings emphasize looking beyond superficial characteristics to see the shared humanity in all beings. In the Vasetta Sutta, he says, "The difference between humans is only a matter of designation, a name. In truth, in human bodies there is only name and form." This points to a view of identity as fluid and constructed rather than fixed and inherent, an idea that resonates with many modern understandings of gender and sexuality. It's also worth noting that the Buddha's teachings on sexuality for lay followers focus on harmful actions, not identities. The third precept, often translated as avoiding sexual misconduct, is about not causing harm through sexual behavior. It doesn't specify the gender of one's partner. In the Sigalovada Sutta, the Buddha advises a young man on family life, saying a husband should honor his wife, not disparage her, be faithful to her, give her authority, and provide her with adornments. While this advice is given in a heterosexual context, the underlying principles of mutual respect and fidelity could apply to any committed relationship. The Buddha consistently emphasized the importance of individual practice and direct experience over rigid dogma. In the Kalama Sutta, he advises, "Do not go upon what has been acquired by repeated hearing, nor upon tradition, nor upon rumor, nor upon scripture, nor upon surmise, nor upon axiom, nor upon specious reasoning, nor upon bias towards a notion pondered over, nor upon another's seeming ability, nor upon the consideration, 'the monk is our teacher.'" This teaching encourages us to question assumptions and find truth through our own experience, a principle that can be liberating for LGBTQ+ individuals navigating their identities. It's important to remember that the Buddha lived in a very different social context from our own. He didn't directly address many of the questions about gender and sexuality that we grapple with today. However, his core teachings on compassion, non-harm, and the nature of identity provide a framework that can be inclusive and affirming of LGBTQ+ people. The Buddha's path is ultimately about freeing ourselves from suffering by letting go of attachments, including attachment to fixed ideas about who we are. As he says in the Anattalakkhana Sutta, "This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself." This teaching invites us all, regardless of our gender or sexuality, to look beyond labels and find freedom in the present moment. In conclusion, while the Buddha didn't specifically address LGBTQ+ issues as we understand them today, His teachings offer a foundation of compassion, acceptance, and personal investigation that can be deeply relevant to LGBTQ+ Buddhists and allies. The path to awakening is open to all beings, without discrimination. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. May all beings be happy and free from suffering.